Streaming live across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Good morning and welcome to Newsfeed Now on this Thursday. I'm Ashley King. All right, starting with some good news. There are only 2 more Thursdays in 2020 after today, and there are some fun days, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. We have a lot more good news in today's top trending stories, but first we have to look at the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and the latest on a second vaccine. Right now there is a live, we're going to show you a live look as the advisors of the FDA are reviewing Moderna's request for an emergency use of its vaccine. FDA scientists say Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine is safe and highly effective. This is a live look now at that meeting. The FDA's report shows that the vaccine was nearly 95% effective. This is similar to Pfizer's vaccine, which is already being administered to healthcare workers. It is expected that the FDA will grant the emergency use for this vaccine by the end of the week. Like so many businesses, the industry involved in live concerts, Broadway shows, and other mass entertainment gatherings has seen a steep drop since March, since the pandemic began. Dean Reynolds has more on the entertainment industry's plea to the Senate for help.
To shoot for the stars, feels like aiming for my heart.
Think about the last time you attended one of these live concerts. Well, the pandemic has stopped the music. 95% of live events this year were canceled or postponed, according to the industry that says it employs more than 10 million people. Today, representatives of the business said 70% of its workers have lost 100% of their incomes. Performers, venue and festival workers, artistic teams, production crews, vendors, and part-timers who make the show go on. Ron Lafitte, the president of Patriot Management, was one of several representatives who asked Congress for aid targeted specifically to their industry so they can survive.
Everyone employed in this industry is hurting, whether they live in the small towns or the big cities, whether they work in independent venues or the biggest arenas. No venue has been immune.
They called for passage of the Save Our Stages bill, legislation that would provide grants to producers, live event operators, and theater owners. Democratic lawmakers favor it, but so far the Republican-controlled Senate has not approved it. Witnesses said additional relief is needed, including the Restart loan program that would extend the Paycheck Protection Plan for 4 months. Michael Strickland, who owns a lighting company, said the industry will be among the last to rebound.
The live event industry is not going to be back until the vaccine takes hold and we have herd immunity, and that's June, July, August, September. And that is simply payroll. So what do we do for the rest of the time?
There appeared to be bipartisan support for the industry. Amy Klobuchar is a Democrat from Minnesota.
So many of these venues are literally the heart of our communities. They're the place that people go. And since we're quoting a lot of things, we do not want to be the Congress that lets the music die.
Todd Young is a Republican from Indiana.
Government should be there during a time of emergency to help people, to help ordinary Americans, or they're going to lose faith in government and government leaders.
The FTC is requiring 9 tech companies to share information about how they collect and use user data. Those orders were sent to Amazon, TikTok, Discord, Facebook, WhatsApp, Reddit, Snapchat, Twitter, and YouTube. The companies have 45 days to respond. The presidential inauguration team released safety measures for the event. President-elect Joe Biden will take the oath of office and deliver his inauguration address from the U.S. Capitol. There will be limited attendance for other elected officials. Biden's team is urging Americans to stay home during the ceremony in hopes of preventing a super spreader event. A group is trying to change the way Americans elect the president. Their plan would guarantee the candidate who gets the most votes nationwide wins. And as Joe Donlin explains, their plan is gaining traction.
Every 4 years, the outcome of the presidential election seems to hinge on just a few states, like Florida or Pennsylvania. So what if you don't live in one of those states?
We're now stuck in a situation where 4 out of 5 Americans don't matter because they live in non-battleground states.
Saul Anuzis is with a group that's trying to change the way we elect the president. Basically, it would guarantee that the candidate who gets the most votes nationwide wins. And their plan is gaining traction.
So our primary goal is to create a system where every voter in every state is a battleground state so that every voter's opinions count.
Right now, of course, the Electoral College decides the winner. Roughly based on population, each state gets a certain number of electoral votes. And in almost every state, it's winner take all. For example, the candidate with the most votes in California gets all 55 of the state's electoral votes. In the end, the candidate with at least 270 electoral votes wins. Here's the proposed plan. Under the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, states would agree to give all of its electoral votes to the winner of the National Popular Vote. In other words, states would wait to see who wins the most votes nationwide and then award that candidate all of its electoral votes, no matter who won that state. At this point, 15 state legislatures and the District of Columbia have signed on. Together, they combine for 196 electoral votes. They only need states with another 74 electoral votes to get to 270. At that point, these states would essentially have the electoral votes and the leverage to pick the winning candidate.
So what really happens is all of a sudden you're going to turn this into a 50-state strategy. You have to campaign in all 50 states because we're going to count the votes in all 50 states. Where, like, for instance, in this last election, basically the campaigns only campaigned in 12 states or less.
At the end of the campaign, Anuzis argues the candidates only visited 4 states. Supporters of a national popular vote argue it would engage voters who question whether their vote counts now. If you're a Democratic voter in a red state or a Republican voter in a blue state, one big city often carries the state. So why bother when you know the outcome? Supporters of a change also point out that the election is often over by the time West Coast voters get out of work.
Well, by 8:15 in a normal presidential election, we're calling the game. So then you have a decision. Do I go stand in line and cast what arguably might be a wasted vote, or do I go home and have dinner with my family?
President Trump got 6 million votes in California and basically had nothing to show for it. Biden won the state and all 55 electoral votes. Under the proposed plan, the president's 6 million votes would count toward his nationwide total, votes worth fighting for. In the end, because Biden won the national popular vote, he would get California's 55 electoral votes.
My opinion is definitely that the Electoral College should be changed. I think that it does not conform to basic democratic values and poses a number of hazards for American institutions and American democracy. So yes, I'm squarely on the side of changing it.
Alex Kesar is a professor at Harvard and has written books on the Electoral College. He says the National Vote Compact falls short in a few areas and thinks it would likely face constitutional challenges. But he admits the plan may be approaching a tipping point that could force Congress to take action. Kesar points out there are other options aside from the compact that could eliminate a lot of the issues with the electoral system, like a constitutional amendment, which admittedly would be difficult. Another path would be to get rid of the winner-take-all system. Say, for example, Republicans in Oregon got 40% of the vote there. They would get 40% of the state's electoral votes.
I think that any change should include the elimination of winner-take-all. It should conform to the principle of one person, one vote, and the electoral system should be clear and transparent and understood by all American voters.
All right, our top trending story from the West. A Marine stepped into harm's way to rescue a baby from a burning car last week in California. Misha DeBono has more on the dad's act of bravery.
Immediately heard the mom say her baby was in the car.
Gunnery Sergeant Kyle Wetter was in the right place at the right time December 7th when a car carrying a family with a small child in the back caught fire while driving east on Mission Road in Fallbrook.
From the time it happened to the time the car was fully engulfed was 4 or 5 minutes.
By the time he reached the car, Mom was out and Dad was desperately trying to get their 1.5-year-old out of the car seat, trapped in the back of the car.
Dad went around to the back side of the car to try to get the baby out, but he was struggling to get the baby out. At that point, I got in the back seat on the driver's side and tried to get the seatbelt to disengage, but because they put the brakes on so hard, I believe the seatbelt was locked up, so I just used my knife that I had on me to cut the seatbelt so Dad could get the baby's car seat out of the car.
North County Fire was already on the way, but would never have made it in time to save the car or perhaps the child.
In this case, this family was driving with a young 1.5-year-old, I believe, in the back seat, resulting in the car seat being jammed. And it's really hectic in that time. So if you didn't have a plan, it's really hard to divert back to, how do I get this child out?
What I would hope is anybody in my situation would help out. We're all in this together. This life of ours is not just a single person. You're not in it alone. And that's what I took away from it, is like, if my wife and my children were in that car, I would hope that it was someone like myself that was willing and able to help out.
And really the big takeaway beyond the heroic actions of this story is to have a plan to keep you and your family safe in case the unexpected happens. Of course, this is a story that clearly could have had a much different ending. From Fallbrook, Misha DeBono, Fox 5 News.
Wow, talk about being at the right place at the right time. Misha joins us now from San Diego. And Misha, this is such a crazy story. Do you know what actually led up to that car catching on fire? Was there an accident or did something just happen?
Yeah, it was really crazy. So the gunnery sergeant, the Marine, he was driving behind this family on this rural road, driving home from Camp Pendleton, which is in Oceanside, to Temecula. It's a pretty good drive. And the family in front of them were following some type of a truck, and they believe that a gas canister fell off that truck and then lodged under their car. And the gunnery sergeant saw it immediately, saw the sparks and saw the fire, and I guess the family did too. So they pulled over, and he said, literally in a matter of minutes, the flames were everywhere.
Wow, that's like a freak accident there. So you mentioned to have a plan. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, yeah, so here you go. You have this Marine running up to this burning car. The family, there's a fire, by the way, on the side of the road as well that CAL FIRE is responding to because of this, the sparks. And the father is in the back trying to desperately get the kid out of the car seat. You know, if you have kids, how hard that car seat, how the straps are super hard to get out, especially if you hit the brakes, which is what they surmise happened. And he couldn't get the kid out, so the sergeant, thank goodness, had a really heavy-duty knife with him and was able to cut the car seat straps, and Dad took the baby out. The takeaway for all of this, gave me pause because I have a 4-year-old, is to have a plan in case the unexpected happens like this. Have you thought about how you would get your child out of a car, or your mother who's in the back seat, or do you have groceries that they have to climb over? Slippery roads, maybe the car flips. So there's all these scenarios that you should not be paranoid, but just have in your mind just in case, and have the tools to save yourself, really, because if that sergeant had not been there, who knows? There were people driving by, but he's the one that stopped and actually risked his life going into that burning car. And by the way, he showed me video that he shot after he got the baby out, and the car was fully engulfed.
Wow.
Didn't even realize it, he said. 4 minutes later, it is the first shot I used that you saw there, where the car kind of exploded. That was 4 minutes.
Wow. So were you able to speak with the family of the child?
No, unfortunately, they didn't want to. The baby's 1.5 years, a boy. They did call, of course, and thank Gunnery Sergeant Kyle Wetter. And his response was just, I hope somebody would do that for me. I have triplets at home, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Triplets, under 2. So that's all he was thinking about was, I got to get this baby out of that car seat.
Wow, that's definitely some bravery there, and a good lesson for the rest of us. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Misha.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, down to, let's see, the South now for our trending stories down there. A Tennessee mom and her kids are getting some help thanks to an apartment manager with a big heart. Tim Simpson tells us more about the manager's act of kindness.
Many people, unfortunately, claim the status homeless. The family you're about to meet falls into that category. However, they're receiving help. Meet our playmakers, Sharon and Peggy.
Now, you reached out to Channel 3 because of a situation. I mean, you're an apartment manager, right?
Yes, that's correct.
What happened here at your apartments?
I was walking one of my vacant units, and I found a young lady living there with her 4 kids. Yes, 5 kids.
So someone just shows up and they're living in a vacant unit?
In a vacant unit.
With 5 children?
With 5 children.
Sharon didn't call the police.
Tried not to cry, first of all. And I talked to her and everything, and such a sad situation. So that's when I came back to the office and got with the ladies, and we said we're going to email Tim Simpson.
Sharon has a heart of gold. She's doing everything she can to help this mother and her 5 kids.
So they're in the very back of your property right now?
Yes.
Are you ready to pass it on?
Yes, I am.
Let's go see if we can help.
Yes,
all right?
okay, all right.
Okay, let's follow you.
We walk to the very back of the apartment complex.
And you have to do all the talking. Okay, it's all yours.
This is Tiara Williams. She tells us what's going on.
We had ended up losing our place, so we don't have nowhere to go. So we've been kicking it over here. It's kind of hard for us, and then since they done went virtual, it's kind of hard for me to get a job and stuff like that. So we been without a place for 4 months now.
Well, we got something that we think will help. If you would slowly pull that $100 bill out, there's $300 from Use Channel 3 and $700 from anonymous donors for a total of $1,000.
Thank you.
Tiara has some very bright children and a very understanding apartment manager.
She known me for just that day, and then for her to do all this right here, I'm very thankful of her. It just opened me up and warmed me up to have somebody to have my back and thinking that I'm just alone and it's just us. So
You're not alone.
Tiara and her kids are getting some help thanks to an apartment manager with a big heart.
All right, Tim Simpson joins us now from Memphis. And Tim, that I almost don't have words. That story, it gives you all the feels for sure. So what is the latest on that mother and her kids? Are they still there at that apartment?
You know, they're still here. They're in need of housing at this moment. We've been on the phone with the Salvation Army here locally as well to see what they can do to help out. This apartment manager was just incredible. She just had such a big heart. And she said there was just no way I could call the police. And so she reached out to us, and just one of those things. We're always looking for, good stories for our Pass It On segment, and we get about 75 to 100 requests per month. Wow. And we only do 4 stories a month. So this one really stood out to me because there are a lot of homeless stories. There are a lot of people with problems and health issues and different things. But we're always looking for people that are willing to put skin in the game to help out. And this apartment manager was willing to do just that, which is why we wanted to reach out and help as well.
Yeah, and I want to know, in news we cover a lot of bad stories and see a lot of bad things. It's so great to see this good stuff here. What does it mean for you also to be able to help out this family?
That's a great question. I'm the chief meteorologist for the TV station. Love weather, love covering the storms and everything like that. But I have to tell you, my whole career now, 35 years, I don't think I've ever done anything that means so much to me as the Pass It On stories.
Wow.
It's just incredible. You're right. We need good stories, and these are always good stories, trying to help people in need, and you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, definitely. If somebody out there wants to help, is there a way they can help this family?
Absolutely. They can reach out to us at news@wreg.com. And we'll certainly funnel that to the right resources. And like I said, we've got some people involved right now trying to help out with this family.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Tim. Well, Christmas came early this year for about 100 customers who had layaways at a Walmart Supercenter. Tyler Thrasher explains what an anonymous Secret Santa did.
The Christmas spirit was recently shared with this Walmart on 9 Mile Road in Henrico. An anonymous Secret Santa paid off the remaining store balance of $50,000 in layaways for about 100 people. Felicia McKay walked into this Walmart on 9 Mile Road on Saturday having no idea what would be waiting for her when she got inside.
And I went to the back, to the layaway department, and the associate asked for my receipt. I gave it to him, and he said that a Secret Santa has paid off your balance.
She was in disbelief.
Like overwhelmed, overjoyed, excited. I cried. I shouted in the store. I did a whole lot of thank you, Jesus. This year has been a rough year for everybody. And a lot of people don't know where their next anything is coming from. And for him to take time and say he was going to be a blessing to someone and he didn't want any recognition, that speaks volumes about him.
Her mind quickly went to the person responsible for her $130 payment.
Unbeknown to him, that's what he really did, is show that there's still humanity in the world.
Still humanity in the world. Yes, there is. Now, even a pandemic can't stop Santa from delivering gifts this Christmas. His Christmas magic makes him immune to COVID-19. NORAD has been keeping up with Santa all month and said it would continue tracking Old St. Nick no matter what. Now the World Health Organization is reassuring everyone that Santa cannot get the virus anyway. They also say several leaders around the world have relaxed quarantine measures for Santa to enter the airspace and travel without restrictions. But Santa himself, he sent a message about the pandemic. He took some time out of his busy schedule to remind kids all over the world that he's still going to visit, but they have to be good boys and good girls and continue to social distance and wear a mask.
But we all have to be very good and nice, and we have to follow all public health recommendations and social distancing rules. We all can find new ways to be in contact with our friends and relatives and loved ones. So, be nice to each other. Christmas is coming soon.
Yep, Christmas will be here before you know it. Santa is trading his sleigh for a 50,000-pound excavator. Robert Holmes, aka Santa, decided to practice his flying skills before Christmas while relaxing at a resort in Colorado. He was hoisted up on a rope and started gliding through the air. Santa says, quote, "Got to do something during quarantine." I agree. All right, well, that is all the time we have for today's show. We want to thank you so much for joining us on Newsfeed Now. We hope to see you back here tomorrow, same place, same time. Have a great day.